And welcome to yet another special edition of Labor Matters right here on KBN TV, the finest television in Zambia. I am your host, Patricia Chilambikwa, and your favorite program. We are here to educate each other about what is happening, issues to do with employees and employers. So today we are looking at an interesting topic, which is job search strategies. That is what we are looking at today. So please do get in touch with us if you have any questions, comments or contributions. Use the number which is right on your TV screen and send us those text messages. Don't give us a call, just drop us a text. Or you can also go on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV, and let's get interactive. We should have a conversation. We want to know what you think about our topic of discussion for today. Remember, Labor Matters, it is Mr. Owen Kabanda's program. Mr. Owen Kabanda, welcome to your program.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Perfectly fine.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you back on your show.
Glad to be here and looking forward to having a nice conversation.
Amazing. And if you're joining us for the first time, Mr. Owen Kabanda is a business and employment expert with over 15 years of experience in human resource management and consultancy. So please, if you have any questions once again or comments about our topic of discussion for today, please do send in those questions. And today, Mr. Owen Kabanda is joined by Mr. Patrick Banda, who is a talent and leadership expert with over a decade of work experience in integrated talent, operations management, and leadership development. Welcome, Mr. Banda, to Labor Matters.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Looking forward to an interactive program.
Amazing.
And good afternoon to our viewers.
Amazing. Good to have you two here. And I believe our viewers are eager to learn one or two things from you today.
Thank you.
Amazing. Maybe we can start our conversation, Mr. Kabanda. Maybe there's some people who have just graduated from universities and colleges. They don't know where to start from, and this is what we are talking about today. If you can just take us through what should people who have just graduated have in their mind, what should they think of after graduating?
Yes, so if you have just graduated, I think it's important to understand that there are certain dynamics, certain things you will not find when you are undertaking your degree or your college studies, and this is the corporate world. So there is need to start now thinking about the mindset change. You're now going to a space of looking for employment. So that space of looking for employment is sometimes a challenging one, and sometimes it can also lead to a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression sometimes, because while you thought that once you finish you're going to get a job, sometimes it doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't happen, so you really need to start having some kind of thick skin. I'm going to use very simple words. But in essence, it's about having a positive mindset that the era that you have now entered when it comes to looking for employment, you have to have the patience and start now making all the necessary applications. Wherever you see any opportunity, you make those applications. But also, it's important that at this time, after finishing your school and before you get a job, again, keep yourself busy at this time with whatever it is that you can be doing while you are looking for employment. It's not the time to now feel that you have to now start doing wrong things because the job is not coming. Also, it's about the mindset that I will have to again talk about in terms of the time that you're looking for employment. Some people, what they do, they say, no, me, I can't do a small job. You know, so you want to wait because you have a degree or you have a certificate or diploma. I have to become a manager because I've finished this job, this school. So our encouragement to the people who have finished school, even just those who have just a grade 12 or grade 7 or grade 9 and they have not yet gotten a job, is really to exercise some patience and continue making the applications, have the spirit to just hold yourself without having to start doing so many wrong things. Also at the same time, I would like to also encourage, apart from those who have just finished school, there are also those who are in employment and they are really looking forward to changing, because sometimes there are people in jobs which they don't even like. they were in those jobs because of certain circumstances, or their salaries are so small, or certain things are happening and they want to change jobs. So even those, while they are working here and they are looking to get this other job, again, even those, we can encourage them to remain positive and have a positive attitude, really. These things that we see in a number of companies where somebody becomes disruptive, they are disgruntled, they go around complaining and saying all bad things. No, me, I'll leave. No, people who leave don't even talk. So when you see people going around here, the way they keep us, this salary, me actually, you have just sent an application, or some people, they have just attended interviews. Now they will be going around in the whole company. No, me, I'm leaving, I'll leave. No, please, calm down. This period before you get that job, the same way we're talking about those who are just finishing school before they get that job, this period, if you're an employee, you keep on applying yourself. Just work well, have a right attitude. If the time comes for you to move, you move. So it goes both ways for those who are really direct from school and even the ones who are yet to get a job.
Well explained. Coming to you, Mr. Banda, I know a lot of people are excited, when you get done with school and you're looking forward to getting yourself a job and whatnot. But I believe the first step in job search is preparing a CV, which sometimes I believe people do copy and paste. Just copy anywhere. Online you copy and just paste it and you get to send it there. Yeah. Maybe if you can walk us through how to prepare an effective CV.
Great question. Like you rightly put it, I think for every employer that is looking to fill a position, there is a need that they want a person to come and do in that organization. So it's very important then to appreciate why is the employer looking for that particular individual. And so when you begin to look or put together your CV in order to get employment, you should be able to tailor your CV towards the job requirements. So for example, there may be two organizations, both looking for an accountant. But when you look through the job descriptions, you realize that certain skills and competences and experiences are different, even when the job may sound the same. They may all be looking for 3 years, but there are certain things that they're looking for in that person that may be different. And so the first step then, if you're going to put together your CV, you must be able to customize your CV to the job that you are applying for. And this time around, the beauty is that there's technology. People can use generative AI to help themselves put together an effective CV. But there are certain things that must be put in any CV that you're going to send out. For example, you need to ensure that you have contact details on your CV. Do you have a phone number that is reachable? Do you have a professional email address that people can write to you with regards to your application? Secondly, it's always important to put 1, 2, 3 sentences on your as a professional summary that can just highlight who you are in 2, 3 sentences. Then you must always be consistent with ensuring that you provide your education background. And here now, I think again we need to be careful. We've seen certain CVs where people begin with their education background as far back as nursery school. What's important is putting together something that can start from high school when you completed your grade 12. What happened thereafter? So you highlight your education background. Be comfortable also to put in your work experience. And the work experience again should be relevant to the role that you're applying for. So you put together your work experience, put together your key achievements that were achieved in any role that you have performed. Also put together your skills and competences that set you apart from the other individual. Again, you must always be sure to put together the references in your CV. Many jobs or many employers would want to know more about you, but not from yourself, but from those that you've worked with. How is Owen when it comes to time and attendance? He can speak everything good about himself, but how about the people that worked with him? Can they say the same? And that's where references come in handy. And very importantly, again, is make sure when you are done with your CV, when you have put together all the information that is required, do a proofread. Make sure that all day-to-day errors that you can always find in a CV are taken care of. To the extent that when you send out your CV, you are comfortable enough that it's representing who you are.
Amazing. Mr. Kabanda, coming to you, after having that effective CV, I mean, you've written an amazing CV. Now we come into an issue of writing an application later. It's one and the same. We people always just go online and check something similar to what you're applying to, and then just copy it and paste without sometimes counter checking. What exactly? So maybe if you can take us through how to write an application later.
Yeah, so really that an application letter is an important document. But even before I even come to the application letter, like what Mr. Banda was talking about, I like his emphasis in the whole CV doing it properly, but also even providing the references. There's been this big debate in Zambia, or generally here in Africa, where you want to copy those things that are happening in America. At the bottom there, at the very end where there's references, you say references available on request. Jesus Christ. Those things, colleagues, that's what we are talking about, things that you simply copy all over the place. If we've done recruitments where we have 1,000 applications, and then we screen and reduce the number to maybe about 200. Do you think the recruiter really has time out of the 200 people who have, last time we were recruiting for a certain position, we're looking for a degree holder, degree or master's, minimum merit or distinction, just those, and the applicant should be 25 years and below. We thought that we were still able to have about 200 people who met that minimum requirement, despite the others having degrees and also. So out of those, then we are taking them, let's say, to Mulungushi, they write the aptitude test and so, and then we should start calling you. Please, we need it, please. Those things they don't pay. So really be very careful with these templates also, and the advice we get all around. Those things only work when you have very few. Maybe they have redundant you. Maybe you can do that. So I just wanted to emphasize on that part, which Mr. Banda talked about. Make sure your references are there, and they should be professional references. It's not just let's go back to the application letter. The key issue is in the application letter. Just as a CV, your application letter is like a summary. Again, this business of us is simply, we have seen people not paying attention to details. You are there, that's why people end up writing at dear, instead of dear madam, at dear madman. So what we're saying is really pay a lot of attention. We know some people, you'll be there making an application, you're watching Netflix, you're on TikTok. This is serious business. Take it serious for that time, because you need to make sure that the application is on point. Amanda talked about proofreading. So in your application, you make sure that that one page has got your contacts. You're going to have your addresses there, your email addresses. And even when we talk about email addresses, they should be proper email addresses. Not these addresses you use when you are, we won't say much, but let them be professional email addresses. This is on the national TV. But make sure your email address is professional. You can create a new proper email address, not just because I was using hot 06 at what. Those are things for other things, for social media, if you use those. So your email addresses, your phone numbers there, then you put where you're applying to, dear recruiter or dear. If some companies even put the name and position where to address those, I can pay attention. They have shown you when applying, address your application to Mr. Patrick Banda. Then you go and say, dear madam, what are you doing? They have even written to you, Mr. This, or Mrs. This. There are those companies that put those specific things. So it's important that, again, you pay attention to where the application is going. The job you are also applying for in the subject line needs to be very clear, according to what was advertised. We see some people just writing, they have put human resource and admin officer. You go and put human resource. That's not what they advertise for. Don't come up with job titles which are not there. Pay attention. Then again, in the body of your application, you make sure that you highlight like what you talked about. It's more or less now a summary of what Mr. Kabanda was talking about in terms of the CV. I have over 10 years experience, over 15 years experience in this is your trying. Don't do these things, these bandas of Wakujipata. They just like to say, I'm 25 years old. I was born in Petauke with my mother and the father, my NRC number is. Think about the job you are applying for. Because the employer is interested in hearing how your skills, your qualifications and experience, they match with this job. Not necessarily where you came from and so on. And again, in the application, you highlight the experiences that you have. You highlight the skills you have, which relates to the position. And again, you will end everything looking forward to the opportunity. Put your names there again. And as we said, make sure the numbers are there and ways for, because sometimes we see that during recruitments, your CV will be that side, the application is that side. Some employers will just take your application. And if they can't find because the CVs and qualifications, sometimes they're bulky. So when they are putting everything together, they will start printing just maybe the application letters. Now you find your application doesn't have certain details. So it's important that when making those job applications, the person thinks everything through, take the job to be serious. We say job search is a job in itself. You need to take it very, very serious and pay attention.
Job search is a job.
In itself.
That's right. You're not lying. That's right. Before I go to Mr. Kabanda, maybe if you can also take us through on how to deliver an application letter physically or applying via email. Maybe if you can take us through.
Yeah. So depending, once you have put, again, let's be very clear here. Look at the job advert, if it was a job which was advertised, and follow all the instructions there. This is why we're saying paying attention, because this business of because they said send, and you have not even looked at what are the requirements. So put everything together. If they are looking for the application letter itself, the CV, the national registration card, a copy of your qualifications, could be degree, certificate or diploma, whatever it is. There's any certification or membership to any professional job, body. Put all those things together. And once you have these things set up, you then look at what is the mode that they are looking out for. Are you applying physically? If it's physical, sometimes they will say send via post. I don't even remember when I went to do it. But there are companies that are they are still insisting on
physical applications.
Like physical applications. So if that's what they want, then you give it to them in that format. Other times when you can do physical application is when you actually walk into a particular company. Sometimes the job is not even advertised. Again, put your papers together, go to those institutions. The period of looking for employment is a period which is very painful. The time we say that even the show has finished, where you go, door by door and company by company, it is very difficult. But again, if you're doing like that, you go to the pay attention and give some respect also to people that you find that if you're going to deliver things physically. The security guards, they will allow you in. Who else? The receptionists, they will come you. Again, be polite. We have seen people being rude because you have a master's. Who cares? You don't have a job at that point. So why are you being rude to the people you're finding? Actually, that's to show. Sometimes you even lose a job just because the very person you are being rude to, the reception, will say, boss, this one has brought this application, but the way they were shouting at me. So you're already losing the opportunity. So be polite. Also, if it's physical and they even allow you to reach the HR in that company, again, package yourself properly. You reach there, how can I help you? Physically, you went there. They have given you an opportunity even to reach maybe the HR manager or whoever is in charge. Then you are failing to talk. No, I just came to deliver the application. Chance wamejipata chance ya bwela. Explain what you are looking for, what skills you have. Because sometimes people get to be carried away by the recruiters, just by the way you present yourself, even without looking at those papers. So different companies, a lot of different things happen.
Yeah.
In bigger institutions, they will have these whole long recruitment processes. In smaller companies or some private companies, they don't have those things. So take your chance if it is physical and you get to have those chances to meet even the HR practitioners who are in that company, or the business owner. Sometimes the owner of the business say, oh, so what do you need? Oh, no, I'm just looking. Please, that's a chance to sell yourself. If it is an online application via email, like we said, again, make sure you follow the instructions. Now, we need to emphasize certain things here. When it comes to the emailed application, you need to pay attention to what you need to put in there. Some companies, will even tell you, tell us why you should be hired. And some, they go to those extents. Read. Now, how do you label your documents? Let's talk about this issue, because I see this, Mr. Banda can attest to this, being in the HR space. You find someone, because you on your computer there, the only document, you have one document which says CV. Yeah. You even know that this is my CV. Okay? There's no name, there's no nothing, it just says CV. Because you, with your own laptop, you know that all other documents are called something else, but this one is my CV. When you are sending, you also says CV.
My CV.
My CV. How are you expecting the recruiter there to know this is Patricia or this is Elizabeth? Yeah. Remember, like we receive applications, so many applications, thousands of applications, CVs. You go in the database. So even when you have applied and you have not named your documents properly, they will be there. Because sometimes what happens, people will go in the search bar, in the emails, say CV journalist, as an example. And or you had put the name, maybe they are looking for you specifically. They will search and it's not showing. So it's important that those things are really looked into very critically in terms of how you label your documents. Your application should be labeled. So you will label CV, you can put a slide, what you call it, underscore, or leave a space, your name. Some they even add the position that you're applying for. Some they even add the company. So you think through how you label your document, the CV, how you label the application letter, how you label any other documents, even a grade 12, because you just put grade 12. But we have 500 other applications. So pay attention to those things, because if you have not labeled your documents properly, sometimes it's difficult for the recruiter to find those documents.
Amazing, well explained to our viewers. If you have any questions or contributions, just an emphasis, don't give us a call, just drop us a text and we will read all the text messages right here on Labor Matters. Or maybe you can also go on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV, and drop us those questions and contributions. Don't just give us a call. If you want to have a conversation with us, or if you have any questions, comments or contributions, please do text us and don't call. I always emphasize every Sunday, don't call, just drop us a text message and we'll read it right here. I believe Mr. Kabanda and Mr. Banda will respond to all the questions that you have. So don't call, just drop us a text message.
We're seeing the calls.
Like I have received a bunch of calls right now. So please, we are begging you, just send the text. Just send a text message and we'll read them right here. Mr. Banda, coming to you, before interviews, what should job candidates prepare just before going for interviews? What should they prepare?
Great. But before I answer your question, I just wanted to make an emphasis on applications by email. What I've noticed in my experience is that, especially when you advertise a job on one of these popular platforms, online platforms, you see that the job is advertised at 16 hours for argument's sake. And by 16:01, you start receiving application letters. And you begin to ask yourself a question: when did this person read through the job requirements? How did they understand what we are looking for in this role? And guess what? You find that a person has forwarded you an email that have been forwarding to 20 other companies. same application, and same everything, and they've just forwarded that to you as a recruiter. I'm not sure what they expect a recruiter to do in that space. It's very important, like I think he has mentioned, that a job search is a job in itself, and it requires a lot of commitment. But coming to your question, what sort of things must one prepare when they are coming for an interview? I think what is critical is, one, you should be able to organize your documentation in one place. This is where you put together your certificates, your original certificates. Usually when somebody has been called for an interview, you will normally be given certain instructions to say, come with your original certificates, come with a copy of your CV, and what have you. Do ensure that you put these things in a folder, check them that everything that has been requested for is there, and check your folder before the interview. I remember attending an interview where one of the senior persons that we were interviewing for came with a folder, and when they opened the folder to remove the papers, what came out of there shocked everybody. 2 cockroaches came out of the folder. It was embarrassing, and you can imagine how that interview went, right? So it's always important that when you're organizing yourself for these interviews, you prepare accordingly. When you put your papers together, ensure that you've checked them, and every document that has been requested for by the recruiter is there. Secondly, be aware about the culture of the organization that you're interviewing with. For example, we have a banking sector. If you look at how banks and people dress up there, it's different from how a mining operation people operate. So when you're going to prepare for an interview, you should be able to present yourself in a manner that aligns with the culture of that organization. Do also ensure that you carry your national ID, for example, if it's a requirement. It's always important. Certain organizations would want to verify that indeed you are the same person that submitted the documentation. Also, it's also very critical that as you prepare for these interviews, especially for our ladies, I think it's always important to dress professionally for the environment where you're going. It's not now a fashion show or whatever you call these things. You know, this is a professional environment. So when you are preparing for that interview, ensure that you dress yourself professionally. It's popularly said that you don't judge a book by its cover. But do you also appreciate how much time authors invest, time and money authors invest in putting together a cover for each book? And every book is different, and authors invest a lot of money in covers. Why? Because first impressions matter. And so even as you prepare yourself for an interview, as you prepare yourself for being interviewed for any position, I think this is very important that you prepare yourself in such a way that when people see you, the first impression will last. That is very helpful.
Amazing. Mr. Kabanda, coming to you as we still talk about interview, there is a common question: how to answer certain questions when you go for interviews, or maybe tell us about yourself, because this question has been trending on social media mostly, and I have seen quite a number of answers about this tell us about yourself question during interviews. Maybe if you can help us understand, how should job seekers respond to this kind of a question?
Yes, even before I answer that question, it's important that certain things are done just as the preparations were going on with what Mr. Banda was talking about in terms of the certificates, the clothes, and everything. We would encourage job seekers to spend also time before the interview. Before you walk into that interview, spend time also preparing on the other side of, in terms of know about the company. There are 3 things we emphasize. 3 things you should know. Number 1, know the company. Number 2, know the position. Number 3, know yourself. And you understand how that fits into this question of tell us about yourself. Knowing about the company means that before you even go for the interview, spend time reading, researching, asking everywhere about the institution that you're going to be interviewing for. So if and these days, a lot of companies have put a lot of their information online. There are websites for companies. There are things that people comment on social media. So for you to walk into a meeting, in that interview, and you don't know about the company, that just shows laziness. And believe you me, this one just frustrates the interview panelists, because you are expected to start understanding the company. Read up what is its vision, what is its direction, what is it doing, what are the products or services of this company, which districts or which provinces, what are the locations, what is basically this company doing, its structures. Some companies even put their annual reports online. Read all those things. And people have internet bundles to be on Netflix. Yet when it comes to taking the job and understanding these things, no, I don't have internet. What do you mean? So really understanding the company means you go flat out as if you work there. You understand the company fully. Then in every company they create a position. Now that position, Mr. Banda was talking about you packaging yourself and your CV. It means you have to start understanding what is this position all about. You read that position, it's because, and you understand, as I'm saying, when you understand the position, you should be seeing how it fits into the company. It could be HR. HR is so different. You could be doing what you have done in the past is so different even maybe from what they're looking for here. So it could be accounting, it could be engineering, whatever position that is. See what position this is, what are the qualifications required, what are the skills. The third thing I said you should understand is yourself. This third aspect is, who are you in relation to the position? What experience do you have in relation to the position? What qualifications do you have in relation to the position? What skills, what attributes do you have? What's your personality in relation to this position? Once you understand those three things, any interview can walk in with confidence. When you know the company, you know the position, you know yourself. I know when I talk about knowing yourself, it looks like it's a simple thing. There's a lot of work to be done there. You need to start aligning yourself to that position and seeing how would you work in this position. So coming to your question of tell us about yourself, this question is asked. It serves several purposes. One is it allows remember, this is almost the first question that will be asked to walk in, and as you walk in, again we have to even emphasize, just from the door there, when the person is coming in, you can see if the person has confidence or no confidence, or before you even see. Again, these are just a matter of time. But you find people, someone just walks in, drags a chair, sits down. Wait till they tell you to sit down, have some form of manners, put your things there, and have the confidence. We see people when they are seated, their hands are on the table, already they're shivering. Anyway, relax. We had the case where somebody, as they are sitting, then they go like this on the chair, the next thing. So now, as interviewers, you don't know if you have to. It's sometimes nerves can kill you. So that very first question of tell us about yourself is really sometimes meant to allow the candidate to start speaking and just being calm and being everything there. But again, at the same time, that same question allows the candidate to sell themselves, and that's why it is very critical that once you are asked that question, you should know what you will be talking about, and that should be answered within 1 minute to 3 minutes is enough. You go on talking for 5 minutes about yourself, no. That's why we're talking about packaging. Packaging, again, in your mind, you'll be thinking about the company, you'll be thinking about the position, you'll be thinking about yourself. Meaning that when you say, tell us about yourself, Mr. Banda was talking about from the time you finish your high school. When I finished my high school, I went on to study blah, 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 blah. You mentioned what you studied. And in terms of work experience, I started my work in such and such in that year with that company. And then, so you are mentioning some of even the duties you are doing, but those things that are more relevant to this position. For things that are not relevant, you don't need to mention them. And as you can see, we are starting at the time you finish your high school. If you haven't finished high school, you maybe ended in grade 5 or 7. Again, you can start from there. But for those who have finished, there's no need to talk about, I'm coming from Kwamunga or whatever. The interviewer is interested in knowing what you bring on board. And that's why you have to use that opportunity to sell yourself. And you should be talking about things that relate to the position, because you should make the interviewers think that this person, this profile, the way you have talked, matches the position. Again, don't go and say, no, sir, as you have already seen in the CV. They have given you an opportunity to explain and to sell yourself. So it's important that you take that opportunity. Once you mess up on that very first part, usually it's very difficult to recover afterwards. That's why practice at home, even before you go into the interviews.
Mr. Banda, coming to you, I know there are a lot of technical questions when it comes to going for interviews. Apart from tell us about yourself, there are a number of them. If you can take us through how to handle such questions. I know Mr. Kabanda has tackled a number of them, but if you can take us through as well.
Wonderful. So remember, like I said in the beginning, every job is designed to solve a problem. And every job is different. So when technical questions are being asked, the idea is to appreciate whether you have the skills and competences that are required for you to do that particular work. For example, if you're an accountant, some of the questions that you're expecting in the technical aspect of the questions is, tell us your understanding of accounting standards that are being used. If you are in HR, you can expect questions, for example, around what labor laws are you aware of and how do they apply? So those questions are designed in such a way that you are able to demonstrate your technical ability to do the work. Every work, whether it's a driver, it's a CEO, there is a technical aspect that must be done in that particular job. So technical questions are designed to for you to be able to demonstrate that. And I think we should be very comfortable here to advise our viewers to say, if you haven't experienced something yet from the technical aspect point of view, be very happy to mention, to say, from the work that I've done so far, I haven't come across this situation. However, I'm eager and willing to learn. There's nothing wrong with that answer. But if you're going to go around and bluff your way through the answer and try to be smart, you actually be seen in a very different perspective from the interviewer point of view. Because technical questions will have technical answers that are already predetermined. It's like, how do you fly a plane if you're a pilot? I think there's only one way on how you fly a plane. Of course, there are certain perspectives that can be considered, but these are very technical issues that there is only a particular structure or process that must be followed. So be very confident in the job. Hence why I think we emphasize more on preparation. When you're applying for a job, understand the role that you're applying for, because that's where even technical questions come from. And most of the questions will also arise from there.
Mr. Banda, before I go to Mr. Kabanda, maybe if you can also, how should job seekers handle a question, why should we hire you? This is one question which I believe has brought a lot of miscommunication amongst people, maybe on social media and just everywhere. People, this is a hard question. Why should they ask us such kind of a question? I mean, they're looking for someone to work in this particular company. Why should they ask me this question? If they're looking for someone to work for them, they know why they should hire me. Why should they ask me this question? Maybe if you can take us to how should someone handle this kind of a question?
So this is one of my favorite questions if I'm on an interviewing panel, because I think it's the only question for me that differentiates you from the other person. So just for the viewers to appreciate, when we are conducting a shortlist, for example, there are certain things that you'll be looking for in a particular candidate. For example, if it's an accountant, you'll be looking for a bachelor's degree in accounting. And everybody that will be shortlisted will have a bachelor's degree in accounting. If you're looking for 3 years experience, everybody will come in with 3 years experience. Even if we are saying you need to be a member of Zika at associate level, they will all have that. So when we're interviewing 3 people that have got the same qualifications, same level of experience, and same skill set, then why should we hire you? Then that becomes the opportunity now for you to demonstrate how your skills, your competences, and your experience differ from the other people. Me and Mr. Kabanda here can both have 10 years experience in human resource, but we have very different 10 years experience. He has worked in a road construction. I've worked in a mining operation. When we begin to speak our experiences, that begins to differentiate me from him and his experience from mine. So this is an opportunity for candidates to sell themselves, because this is where you will now be speaking about what value you as a person are bringing to this organization. And that is unique only to you. unless you've copied everything else.
Mr. Kabanda, so talking about the difficult interview questions, how much is your salary expectation? I believe, people exaggerate knowing that, okay, I have a master's in maybe it's mass communication, okay, I have a master's in accounts and whatnot. They ask me this question, I will exaggerate because I want a lot of money. So how should people or job seekers handle such kind of a question, Mr. Kabanda?
Yeah, so when it comes to the questions around how much is your salary expectation, first of all, again, we've been talking about preparation. I'll tell you one of the things with the job seekers is this aspect of everything last minute. Believe you me, there are times we receive phone calls. It's 7:30. Someone is calling you. Hey, I'm going for an interview. I just wanted some tips on. Oh, okay. What time is your interview? No, they have put it at 8:30. So I'm just okay. So, what do you want to be now helped with at that particular point? When did they actually invite you? No, it's been about 2 weeks, but what do you see? Yeah. Really, preparation, we cannot overemphasize this. And that's why sometimes you are going into interviews, you have already lost because you are not prepared. And this aspect of not preparing, these are the things that now lead to people even just saying, oh no, they have their own people, I talked. No, it's not just talking. It's what's the value of what you're presenting to the employer. What have you packaged? And that goes also even with issues of salaries. If you are just straight from school or you are working and you're looking to change a job, again, spend some time to just find out, okay? Ask around. This time, people are knowing so much. Yes, sometimes people, because salaries are confidential, they might not share a lot, but people can tell you some things that, how much is the going rate, like maybe on the market. We see sometimes people just mentioning all sorts of figures. But if you have taken time to do your research, you start understanding first of all. That's why, remember, we talked about understand the company. And we're talking about those things. If the company advertised, start with what sector is this company in? Is it mining? Is it construction? Is it a government institution? Is it a private institution? Are they in health? And what sector are they in? So that you start seeing, because sometimes even salaries get to be affected by a particular sector. In a banking sector, it's a little bit different. Because we see people, a position maybe is a position that pays for 10,000, the person is mentioning 45,000. Clearly you will not be hired. So it's important that you spend time just asking different people to give you some ideas. Now we know that sometimes information might not be there. If you have been working, when they ask you that, you can be now looking at also what you are getting paid versus what you are expecting. And again, if you have never worked, again this also goes to our colleagues who are the college and university graduates. Last week I was talking to someone and they are looking for employment. And okay, so how much would you expecting? I think something around 15,000, 20,000. Okay, that's very good. It's good to know your worth, right? But then you also have to be realistic on what's happening on the market. There are companies that actually are getting people what are those internships without even paying them because they're graduates. There are also companies that are paying some good monies, even for fresh graduates. So it's important to start finding out what is on the market. So whatever amount you're going to mention in terms of your salary expectation, there are things which we emphasize. Make it very clear to the recruiters or the interviewers that your salary is subject to negotiation. There is a trick question they'll ask you. Because remember, companies, they are in two groups. We have talked about this in our previous episodes, that there are companies that have salary structures. So in those companies, they have the job grids from CEO, managers, all the way down to the lowest employee. So they have salary structures. So they know that this job pays 10,000. This job pays 15. This one 20. This other one 25, 30, and it goes on like that. So whether you say if the job pays 15,000, even if you say 10 or 5, they will still award you 15, which is for that position. That is for companies that have salary structures, and that's why we were talking about you researching on companies, just seeing how structured they. If the company is a bigger company, a big corporation, usually they'll have proper things. For private companies, some it is based on negotiation. So you will find that you have mentioned a small salary, yet your friend was just from being awarded a big amount. So if you are looking at, let's say, in the mines, construction, or even just these other businesses, for them it's about the negotiation aspect, how much you want to be paid. Even in there, they will tell you, so what is the lowest you can get? Sometimes you could ask them if they are free to talk about what is on offer. But if they are not going to be willing to talk about it, simply tell them what your lowest expectation could be. But again, be very careful. There are people who say, no, I can't get anything below this. We have to understand the way salaries operate, companies operate when it comes to salary. Some companies could give you a very big salary, and then they don't give you a lot of benefits. Okay? Other companies could give you what could look like a small salary, but they have so many benefits. Do you ever wonder why we want to mention institutions where people work, they will be getting what looks like a small salary, but they have stayed there, they are not moving, because there are so many other benefits which come maybe for school, the medicals, they give you maybe gratuity and so many other things. But you see that the salary is not so big. So it's dangerous for you to walk into an interview room and simply say, I cannot get paid anything less than this. It is better to wait until they give you the offer, then you'll see what is contained in that offer. So when it comes to salary expectations, simply give them the figure, or you can give them a range and indicate at the end that this is subject to negotiation.
Amazing. Mr. Banda, if maybe you can also take us through, we're still talking about interview questions. Do you have any more questions for us? How should one handle such kind of a question?
Do you have any questions for us? Great. So this is one of the most wonderful opportunities that candidates are given to find out more information either about the company itself or even about the role. And it's amazing some of the questions that we get to be asked there from colleagues. And I think this is where research comes in very handy when somebody is looking for employment. There are certain questions that I think when you ask, even the interviewers will feel like this person is really interested to work for us. They've done their research. They are very invested into what we are doing. But if you're going to ask very personal questions, people will be wondering now, what's your motivation? You know, so you need to find yourself in a space where you ask questions either to do with the vision of the organization, or things to do with nitty-gritties of the role itself, maybe in terms of even the structure of the organization. Where does this role sit within the management structure of this organization? Such kind of questions. This is not an opportunity now to ask how much is this person, this position paying? And those are some of the questions that we get from candidates. So I think for me, the issue really is do enough research, ask about the vision of the organization. Where is the organization going in the next 2 years? Or if an institution has gone through a turbulence, you can ask a question around how did they turn around their efforts to get to where they are back on track, because then it shows how invested you are into that organization. Amazing.
Mr. Kabanda, after responding to all the fantastic questions, I will call them fantastic questions because in as much as you might think, these are not good questions and whatnot, but how can someone end an interview on a positive note?
Yeah, so when it comes to interviews, again, like we've been emphasizing, it's really an aspect of preparation, a lot of preparation. You need to take job search very, very seriously. You need to read up. There are a lot of videos now online, on YouTube, on TikTok, LinkedIn. There are a lot of literature, there are audios. There's absolutely no need for someone to fail to handle interviews properly this time. So do a lot of practicing so that you even know what to come and say even as the interview will be coming to an end, because you should be visualizing. And apart from all the research you do, one of the things that, again, we have to emphasize is the aspect of practicing. People think that you can just wake up and walk into an interview. This aspect we have to emphasize, because while you are right at home, you need to start practicing. Get someone, even your sibling. I know that there are professionals who do interview training, but even just at home, you can just have somebody sit there with you and say, how am I sounding? You pace yourself. You start looking at all these questions you have been asking, even how do they answer, tell us about yourself, how do they answer technical questions, things of that nature. There are also even questions that pertain to scenarios. Those ones, again, we have to emphasize. If the question is around scenarios, you have to make sure that you give them what we call the STAR approach. For instance, they will come and ask you, tell us how you dealt with a difficult supervisor. Tell us how you dealt with a difficult client. Or sometimes they ask you, tell us how you will deal with such and such a situation. For such, we always emphasize that look at the SMART criteria. That is, what was the situation, if it is in the past? What was the situation? Then that, or you can use the STAR approach. What is the situation? Or what was also the task at hand that you had? What activities did you undertake? And what is key is what were the results? Because remember, in all these things that we've been talking about, your job is to demonstrate that you're an action-oriented person. And so you should be able to show through that STAR approach that you took action. Don't just say, no, we, and then we. No, yes, we know we wanted to talk about teamwork. But the interviewer is looking for your initiative. What did you do, even if you're in a group? So it's important that we emphasize the aspect of preparation before the interviews, so that even as you be now in that interview, they have given you that opportunity. Now they are going to be ending the interview. You make sure you also appreciate the interviewers for the opportunity, and that you're also looking forward to joining the team. And basically, again, at that point, if they have not told you when they will get back to you, you could ask when you expect to hear from them. But again, I have to emphasize, Mr. Banda was talking about the last questions that you ask. If sometimes out of being nervous and everything, they have already answered you, they have already told you, okay, so our interviews are coming to an end, we will be getting in touch in 2 weeks' time. You have not heard anything. So, as the interview is finishing, you are again asking, so when will I hear from you?
When can I expect to hear from you?
Already that shows that you don't pay attention to details. Why should we even be hiring someone like that? So it is simple things like that that could cost you a job. Pay attention. If they have not mentioned, you could ask them at this particular time. And really, it is thanking them if they got your papers. Again, at this point, collect your papers. Because we have also seen people, because they are so nervous,
they leave the papers.
the papers short.
They'll call you 2 days later.
No. Just calm down, be confident, thank them, smile. And again, we have to even emphasize, even the time that you're answering the questions, you would be looking at their faces. Just show the confidence and that you're on top of things. And you're looking forward to joining the team.
Amazing. Maybe if we can read 1 or 2 text messages from our viewers. I believe this has been an amazing conversation. We've learned, I believe our viewers have learned a lot about our topic of discussion for today. So our first message reads, the moderator, Madam Sumum Mankalako na time yochita invite wakuleba so that we hear from them about the new minimum wage. Henry.
Now, minimum wage, that one they will mention the announcement, as we have said, it will be made at an appropriate time. That will be an issue from Labour Office. For now, the current salaries continue. Unless within the company, management and the board, they have approved the changes. There are companies that are changing already even without Labour Office. But from the statutory instrument perspective, we have not seen one yet. So, Madam Moderator,
remember, Labour Matters is Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda's show, hey? Okay, so our second text reads, good afternoon, sir or madam. there are certain employers or managers who actually call job seekers who applied for interviews on the same date without letting them know a day or two before interview day. What would you advise, Chief Tyrone Baila?
I'm not sure I quite understood the question. So you are invited for an interview the very day you are asked to
go for the interview.
To go for interviews, yes.
Okay, I see. Of course, I think there are different scenarios that can call for that. But I think what's normally important from the interview point of view is if you can't make it, I think there's no harm in asking the person that has called you for that urgent interview to say, are we able to reschedule this interview to tomorrow? I think there are several times in my personal experience where we've had to reschedule interviews to provide people with ample time to prepare themselves. You would invite a candidate for an interview even 2 days before the interview date, but you find that this person, probably because of the nature of the work that they do, maybe they're in Mongo and they are on an assignment and they're only available after a week. As an interviewer, then you must be able to be flexible enough to schedule in such a way that you can accommodate that person. If they can't be available physically, you can also explore options of online interviewing. Now I think technology has really taught us that there are so many possibilities in how to do these things. And it's another option that the candidate can provide to the interviewer to say, I'm unavailable to attend immediately. But however, I'm available to do an online interview. Is that a possibility if it can be rescheduled?
Amazing. Good afternoon, comrades. Please, my question is, what should we do? Some of us who have a certificate as a qualification, and when they advertise, they need diploma qualification, but you know what, you can do that. But you know what, you can do that job. And add on, they say they need people with 3 years experience, but you have worked less than the required years. How do you, at this point, advise us?
So for that, as we said, big companies, there's already minimum requirements. So if it's a degree, you have a diploma or certificate, they will not get you. But again, because we are now today talking to job seekers, please apply. I know it is a lot of headache for the recruiter. Just apply, because there are also other companies that don't even have systems. They just like the job seekers, even employers sometimes just copy things. So apply and let them go and make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Please help. I have a son who finished school in 2016. I don't have money to take him to college. He applied to Zambia Police Service from 2018, 2020 and 2022. We don't find his name. He had 13 points in grade 12. Please, I beg in the name of God, help him to go to Zambia Police Service. Okay.
Okay, so that one we are not dealing with Zambia Police, but we'll forward the message to them.
Maybe if you can read the last one. Good afternoon, presenter. My name is McDonald Ngwenya from Chipata. My question is directed to Mr. Banda concerning writing of a CV from one who has no experience, preferences. How would you go about that? And who has just graduated from university? Thank you.
Great. I think for a person that has just graduated from university and they have no work experience, what you just need to present is what education have you done in terms of your school? Is it a bachelor's of accounting or adult education, such things? That's what you highlight in your CV. But even when you're at school, there are certain skills and competences that you build. Interpersonal skills, for example, communication skills, for example, these are skills that are built at any given time. They don't need you to have work experience to be included there. So these are things that you bring into your CV. And it doesn't help for a fresh graduate to have a 5-page CV just to ensure that, just to make sure that their CV is long enough, and yet they are putting nothing there, just playing with words. I think if you have no experience, be very comfortable to have a 1-page CV and say you are eager to learn, you are open to learning, and if opportunities are provided, you can demonstrate what you learned in school and apply it in a workplace.
Amazing. This has been an amazing conversation. Mr. Banda, if you can give us your last remarks as we wrap up this conversation.
Thank you so much to KBN and Mr. Owen Kabanda for inviting me to be part of this session. I hope that our viewers have learned one or two things in terms of job search strategies. I think I'm also available on LinkedIn under banda.patrickjr, where I also do provide a lot of insights into many matters, such as the one that we're discussing today.
Amazing. Mr. Kabanda, if you can also give us your last words, and please, if you can also give a word of encouragement to job seekers. I know we have a lot right now because, I mean, a lot of people have just graduated. Yeah. So please, your word of encouragement to them that are now looking for employment.
Yeah, really, it's just to encourage the job seekers to continue making applications. As we've said, continue making preparations and just read up, do your researches. We do share a lot of these things even on our social media platforms, on LinkedIn, TikTok, on YouTube. So they can still go there and read up on specific questions or they answer them if they, from what we have said today. But key to it, please make applications, and also please don't pay to get a job and don't sleep with anybody to get a job.
Thank you. Short as that. Yeah. Don't pay to get that job. Don't sleep with nobody to get that job. All you have to do, research more, read more, and there you have it. This has been Labor Matters right here on KBN TV, and today we are looking at an interesting topic, which is job search strategies. I have been your host, Patricia Chilambikwa, and in the studio I was with Mr. Owen Kabanda and Mr. Patrick Banda, who have helped us talk more about our topic of discussion for today. If you've just joined us, please, all you have to do is to go on our Facebook, which is KBN TV. You will find this live right there. Until next week, same time, same place, it's goodbye and God bless.